Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss how to align modular grid with the baseline grid. Before I start, I would like to clarify this video is going to be little lengthy because I am going to divide this video into two parts. One is for beginners and second one is for the advanced users. Second thing, I have seen multiple videos on this concept. What I don't like about it, people have already calculated those values in advance. So when you try to copy them, it doesn't work in your project or in your document, right? In my case, I'll tell you all the values logic behind it, right? And I have created a formula for it. So if you follow it, it is going to perfectly work in all your documents, right? So let's get started. Before we proceed, I would like to discuss few terms related to modular grid. This magenta area is known as margin, the empty space between the page edge and those pink lines. This is page edge, this is those pink lines, right? And the area which is inside those pink lines known as the live area, which I have highlighted with a light yellow color. Next, we have column, which I have highlighted with a light blue color. Column runs vertically from top to bottom, whereas the rows, which I have highlighted with light green color, it runs horizontally from left to right. A gutter is the space between columns or between the rows, right? This, which I have highlighted with a light gray color, right? To be precise, this is, these are column gutters. These are row gutters, right? After this, columns divide the page vertically and the row divides the page horizontally, and together they create a small rectangle called modules. So this is module 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, right? One more thing. So it has total how many rows? It has 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you have 8 rows, you will have total how many gutters? You will have total 7 gutters, right? Next, we will come to the special zone. Special zones are different areas of a page, each assigned a specific purpose, right? After this, we have one more concept, baseline. This blue line is known as baseline. A baseline is an invisible horizontal line on which most letters sit, right? If you look at all these characters properly, they are perfectly sitting on this blue line, which is baseline, right? Now you can ask me what is the advantage of using baseline. I will quickly demonstrate you. Imagine we are designing 2-column magazine, right? This is our 2-column magazine and I will place an image. This is our image and I turn on the text wrap, right? Without baseline grid, the lines in each column are not lined up, right? So I'll show you, I will make these guides, right? Now, if you look at it, these texts are not lined up properly. So what I used to do, I used to, fix it like this. Don't do that. This is not the correct way, right? First, I will hit Control Z, right? After that, I will go to the view, grids and guides, turn on the show baseline grid, right? After this, I'll select my text box, scroll down and select this align to baseline grids, right? With baseline grid, right, every line aligns perfectly, right, making the page easier to read and visually balanced, right? Look at this. It looks perfect. Even, if you change it, look at this. They are perfectly, lined up, right? So I'll delete this. So that is the advantage of using baseline grid. So here we are inside the Adobe InDesign. So our first step would be to create a new document. Hit Control N, right? In this case, I'm going to choose A4. Why? Because I'm a book designer and generally we use A4 size and in the landscape orientation. Second step would be change the units from picas to points, right? After that, hit create. That is it. Now I'm going to create a text frame, right? I'll make it 12, right? And right click, place with fill with placeholder text, right? After that, this is one of the most important factor, right? Your leading, right? In my case, I'm going to change the leading and it is going to be 14. Why 14? Because in my case, 14 looks better, right? You can take 13, 14, 15, right? If you are a beginner, this video is meant for the beginners, right? you have to only choose the whole number. Why? Because with the whole numbers, it is easy to calculate everything, right? If it is decimals, you will get confused, nothing else, right? In the advanced chapter, we will cover the decimals part as well, right? So before we proceed, I have observed one more thing. A lot of people, what they do, they change the page size just to make the grid work, right? Never ever do that. Why? Imagine your client suggested you to use A3 or B3 paper, right? So in that case, you do not have the option, right? So let's move forward. Before that, what I'm going to do, I'll write my leading. How much was it? Leading. So it is easy to remember, so I'm writing it down, right? After that, I'm going to turn on my baseline grid. For that, you have to go to the view, right? Grids and guides, show baseline grid, and after that you have to hit W, right? After that, select your text frame, scroll down, right? You have to come here, align to baseline grid, right? Enable this option. If this is not visible, you just have to come here, click on these three dots or more options, right? After that, click here, right? As you can see that my text exactly sits on the baseline grid, but what is happening here? The text intentionally uses every alternate baseline, right? So we have to fix this. For that, what you have to do, you have to go to the edit, preferences, right? After that, you have to go to the grids, right? Now I'll explain you these options, right? Or you don't have to overwhelm with it. They are pretty easy. So first of all, start. It is asking start. My baseline grid should start from 36 point. I don't want it. I want it to start from 0. So here I'm going to write 0, right? And in the relative to top of page or top margin, I want top of page, right? Increment every. We have to, write our leading here. Not write, we have to enter leading, right? So that is going to be 14. View threshold, sometimes your baseline grid is not visible in the viewport, so it is better to make it 50, right? I'll make it 50. Now notice what is going to happen, right? I'll hit okay. See, this is perfectly fit, right? Now here two things we have to do. First is, if you notice, right, our margins are not properly aligning with the baseline grid, right? This one and the bottom one as well. If you observe closely, it is not matching. I'll show it to you. See, look at this, right? Second thing, what you have to do, imagine in our case, leading was 14, right? So whatever margins you are going to set, it should be multiple of 14, right? So I'll write 14's table, right? 14 multiplied by 2 is equals to 28. 3 is equals to 42. 4 is equals to 56, right? So what is the benefit of doing that? So when you put the margins, in the multiple of 14, it will automatically assign to, snap to the or align to the baseline grid, right? So I'll show you. You have to go to the layout, right? In the layout, margins and columns. Here we'll write 56, right? 56. Now, if you observe closely, right? Look at this. This is perfectly snapped. Whereas bottom one, did not snap or align properly. Why? Because our page size is not in the multiple of 14. That is why, right? So we'll fix it. We'll come to that later, right? Just let me fix this one, right? So for that, what we have to do, for time being, for the beginner one, I'm going to skip this one, right? I'm not going to align it to the bottom of the page. We'll do that later, right? So far, just ignore it right now. Just ignore it. We'll fix this one, right? For that, what you have to do, we have to see how much difference it is, right? This part we have to check this one, because what is happening, I'll move my margins to the upside, right? Upside. Why I'm moving the margins to the upside? Because I am a book designer and we have the more negative space at the bottom margin, right? So if you come here, I'll show you, right? If you look at it, this part, right? So I am trying to, follow these methods in some way, you can say, not exactly. So I'll try to maintain this. So we will move the, margins to the upside, right? So for that, I'm just creating it, the box, shift X, right? So we got this value, right? What is the value of this? You have to come to the properties, height is 7 point, oh, I'm sorry. It is 7.276, right? Now, one thing, tell me, bottom margin moves from bottom to top, top margin moves from top to bottom, right? So if we have to, move this margin to the upside, right? We have to add this value. We have to add this value to the margins. If we have to, move the margins to the bottom side, we have to take this value and subtract it from it, right? I hope I'm making sense. So I'll show you. So in this case, select this, copy this value, right? Notice here, observe it. So margins and columns. After that, you have to unlink it, right? In the bottom one, you have to deselect it, hit plus, right? Control V, enter that value or hit Control V. After that, hit OK, right? As you can see that it is perfectly snapped to it, right? This looks good to me, right? This is for time being, this is perfect. Now, if you remember, I told you about this is the margin area, right? This is margin area. Now we have the live area. Now we have to calculate number of baselines, right? We have to calculate the number of baselines. How do we do that? Take this, create a shape, in your entire live area. We are calculating the live area, right? Take this, it is going to be, whatever area is going to be, it is going to be in the multiple of 14, right? I know this because, as I already mentioned it earlier, right? This, and if you look at it, the height is 476. So I'll write it here, right? Live area 476, right? So if now you have to calculate the number of baselines in this area. So how do we do that? You just have to, I have a formula here, I'll show you here. If you have to calculate the total number of baselines, right? For that, you have to, suppose your live area is 504. In our case, it is 476, right? So 476 and your leading is 14. So how do we calculate total number of baselines? Is equals to live area height divided by leading, right? So I'll calculate it here. 476 divided by how much? 14, right? So I'll show it in your calculator. 476 divided by 14 is equals to, we have how many baselines? 34, right? So it is going to be 34 baselines, right? This is it. So I'm going to delete this box, right? For time being. I'm sorry. This is equals to, right? This is equals to, I'm going to hit W, right? Now we will see how to add modular grids. Before that, I would like to tell you something which I forgot in the beginning. This is known as one baseline unit, right? The height of one baseline unit is equals to 14 point, which is equals to our leading value, right? So one baseline unit is equals to 14 points. So 2 is going to be 28, 3 is going to be 42, and 4 is going to be 56, right? And so on. So please remember these values, right? After this, we will go to the layout, right? Go to the ruler guides. Here I have selected ochre color, or you can select whatever color you like, right? So in my case, I'm keeping it as ochre. I'll hit OK. After that, I'll create a new layer. Double click on it, rename it as grids. I want my grids to be, on the new layer instead on the, base layer, right? After this, we will go to the layout, create guides, right? Now notice here, numbers we'll discuss later. Gutter, it is going to be 14 or the leading value, right? That is it, 14. In the options, fit guides to margins. I want it to fit to the margins, right? So instead of the page option, so I'll keep it as margins or by default, whatever it is. After this, numbers, right? Now notice here, if you notice, 2 is not aligning properly, with the baseline grid. 3 is also not aligning. 4 is also not aligning. I know 5 and 7 is going to align perfectly. Why? Because there is a mathematical logic behind it, right? So I'll tell you later. Look at this. 5 worked perfectly. 6 did not work. 7 worked perfectly, right? So right now I'll keep it as 5. All right. Now we will explain the mathematical formula behind it, right? So let's move. Now, as you know, we have already discussed the step one. Now we will come to the step two. So you in the step two, you have to, decide the number of rows. In our case, number of rows are 5, right? So if you have to find the gutters, right? The formula is simple, r minus 1. So if you have 5 rows, you will have 4 gutters, right? 5 minus 1 is equals to 4. So here is an example. 5 rows, you will have 4 gutters. 6 rows, you will have 5 gutters. 7 rows, you will have 6 gutters, right? This is very simple. Now let's move to the next step, right? So now we have to remove the gutters. So each gutter occupies one baseline, right? So here is our gutter. So it says each gutter occupies one baseline, right? So this is one baseline. This is right. Now, for example, if you have 34 baselines, right? And 5 rows. So gutter is equals to 5 minus 1 is equals to 4, and content baselines is equals to 34 minus 4 is equals to 30, right? So this is 30. So what we are doing, total, we had total 34 baselines, right? So in these 5 rows, now total we have 30 baselines. Why? Because we have removed these gutters, right? So this is it. I hope this is, I'm making, making sense, right? After this last step, divide the remaining baselines. Now divide the remaining baselines among all rows, right? Equally among all rows. So content baselines divided by rows. So for 5 rows, 30 divided by 5 is equals to 6. So each row would have 6 baselines. This is correct. It is valid, right? So this will work. So each row will have 6 baselines. So this is row 1. So it has 6 baselines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? How many rows do we have? I'll write it here. How many rows? 5, right? Baseline. We have 6 baselines per row, right? So if you multiplied 5 multiplied by 6, so 5 multiplied by 6 is equals to 30, right? And we will have plus 4 gutters, right? Plus 4 gutters, then it is going to be 34, right? I'll write it so it is easy. 4 gutters. So total 30 plus 4 is equals to 34, right? I'm sorry, 34, right? This is it. Now, whatever I have told you, it is just a, simplified formula. Here is the combined formula, right? So combined formula is TB is equals to total baselines, R is equals to number of rows, G is equals to number of gutters, which is equals to R minus 1, BM is equals to baselines per module. So BM is equals to TB minus rows minus 1 divided by rows, right? So example 1, total baselines we have 34, now number of rows 7, BM is equals to 34 minus 7 minus 1 divided by 7 is equals to 4, right? This is it. Now, again, I'll come to the main document. I will hide this. I'll create a new layer, name it as R7, right? Hit OK, layout, create guides. I will make it number 7, right? Make it 14. As you can see that this is perfectly aligned, right? When you come here, it says 4. That means 4 baseline unit per row, right? So if you come here, right, this, right, shift X, right? So now we have 7 rows, right? 7 rows and 6 cutters, right? And each row has 4 baseline unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I hope you know you understood the concept. If you still did not understand and you are wondering why 5 and 7 worked, why 4 and 6 did not work out, or 2 or 3 did not work out, I will explain this inside the Photoshop. So let's move to the Photoshop. So here we are inside the Photoshop, right? And in this case, if you notice properly, 3, I'm sorry, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? If you remember correctly, 5 worked, right? 7 worked, right? Why? Right? If you remember correctly, 2 did not work, 3 did not work, 4 did not work, 6 did not work, right? I'll tell you the logic behind it, why these value did not work out, right? So let's get started. D. After this, what was our formula? It was TB, total baseline, minus R minus 1 divided by R, right? So this was our formula. Sorry guys, my writing is really bad, right? So now we are checking with value 4. It is your assignment to check the values with 2 and 3. I'm going to only show you 4, 5 and 6, right? So first of all, when the value was 4, when R is equals to 4, right? Total baseline, it was 34. How many rows we are taking? 4 minus 1, and R is equals to again 4, right? So 34 minus is equals to 34 minus 3 divided by 4, right? It is 31 divided by 4, right? It is going to be, I'll make it clear, 31 divided by 4, right? It is going to be 7.75, right? This is not going to work. Why? As I already suggested, the value should be whole number, right? So this is not a whole number, this is in decimal, so this one did not work out. Now we will go with the value 5, right? When R is equals to 5, right? So I'll directly put it 34 minus 5 minus 1, right? Divided by 5. So it is 34 minus 4 divided by 5. So this is 30 divided by 5 is equals to 6, right? This worked. Why? Because we are getting the whole number, right? It is 6. After this, so D, right? Now I'm going to use the when R is equals to 6, right? So 34 minus 6 minus 1 divided by 6, right? So it is going to be, I guess, 5. 34, it is going to be 29 divided by 6, right? So it is going to be clear. 29 divided by 6 is equals to 4.83, right? So this value again failed, right? So as usual, this worked. That was the logic behind it, right? So this is how it works. Now there is a website where you can skip all these mathematical calculations and you can, calculate it pretty easily. But My only concern is you should know the basics, right? So let's move forward. So here is the website which is designed by Wolf. He shared with me on Reddit, so I don't know his real name, right? So as you can see that we have the height, right? In the height, you have to add the number of baselines. So in our case, it was 34, and in the gap, you have to enter 1. So it will tell you the number of possible rows we can have in our document, right? So it says we can have 5 rows and 7 rows. So if you remember it, I showed you that 5 and 7 worked perfectly, right? Now, one more thing, there are few numbers which are special or sweet numbers which can have more number of factors or more number of possibilities, right? So in this case, when we have 34 baselines, we can have 3 possibilities. Now imagine if we have number 35, right? Look at this. It's massive. We have a lot of possibilities, right? If we go with the 36, again, 1, 37, again 3, 38 less, 39. Look at this. So with this number 35, I'll show you inside the InDesign, right? We'll go inside the InDesign. Now what I'll do, right now we have 34 number of rows, right? I'll lower down the my margin. So what I'll do, I'll go to the margin. In the bottom margin, I'll subtract 14, right? So now as you can see that now we have inside this, right? We have with this one, if you remember correctly, live area divided by number of baseline grids, right? So right now we have 490, right? So if you remember, 490 divided by 14 is equals to 35. Now we have 35 baseline, right? I'll delete this one. Now I'll create a new layer, right? Make it 35, right? Just a random name. We'll go to the rulers and create guides. Make it 14. 1, 2, 2 is working, 3 is working, 4 is working, 5 is not working, 6 is working, 7 is not working, 8 is not working, 9 is working, 10, 11, both are not working, 12 is working. After this, directly 18 will work, right? As you can see that, see the number of possibilities we have, right? So you have to, keep in mind with that special number as well, right? So there is one more website where you can easily calculate your modular grid values, right? It is known as layout grid calculator, right? So if you go down, you can, you just have to, add all these values, right? I have never used this website, so I'll add in the description all the websites and my PDF link, right? So now it is time to summarize whatever we have learned. So I'm going to, create a new document, right? Again A4, but this time vertical orientation, change the size from pcast to points, right? Hit create. After this, I'll go to the view, grids and guides, show baseline grid, right? And after that, I will copy this text and paste it here, right? Then I'll hit Control K, again preferences, then go to guides, grids, sorry, we'll make it 0, make it 14, make it 50, right? All right. After this, we have to adjust our margins, right? Layout, margins and columns. Again, it is going to be, multiple of 14. So this time I'm going to take 42, right? 42. All right. Now, if you look at the bottom one, right, this is not matching. So shift X, right? So I'll copy this value, height, right? Then I'll go to the layouts, margins and columns, unlink this, we have to add it, right? Now they are perfectly matched, right? After this, right, you have to check your live area, right? Our live area is 756, right? 756. So I'll go to the calculator. Again, 756 divided by leading value, it is going to be 54, right? In this case, I'll go to that website again. When we enter value 54, gap 1, we have 3 possibilities, right? 5 and 11. All right, so I'll create a new layer, layouts, create guides, or before that we have to change the color, make it archer, hit OK, create guides. It says 5 will work or 11 will work. I'll hit 14, right? So guys, that is it from my side for the beginners. Watch it, right, and try to practice it as many times you can, right? Thank you so much. In this video, we will cover how to perfectly align your baseline grid with the top and the bottom of the page, right? If you remember my previous video or the beginners video, right, my last baseline was not perfectly aligning to the bottom of the page, right? In this video, we will see how to do that, right? So let's get started. Hit Control N, right? Go to print. This time I'm going to take the letter page size, right? This time it is different. Picas, instead of picas, I'll take points, right? Hit create. After this, I am going to create a text box. All right. Right click on it, fill with placeholder text, right? I'll select my text, make my leading 14, right? After this, I'm going to write down my page height and the leading value. So I'm directly going to paste it, right? So my page height is 792 point and leading is 14 point, right? Now the question is, how do you find the perfect leading that aligns the baseline grid perfectly with both the top and the bottom of the page, right? Top and the bottom of the page. For that, keep dividing the page height by different whole numbers until you find a leading value that is as close as possible to 14 point. Imagine in your case, if it is a 12 point, so you have to find a leading value that is as close as possible to 12 point, right? So if you use a whole number for the leading instead, you will usually end up with extra space at the bottom of the page, preventing the last line from aligning perfectly with the bottom edge, right? So if we come here, scroll down, right, we are talking about this one, this. So Shift X, we want to avoid this, right? We want it to perfectly, align to the bottom of the page, right? So I'll hit Control 0. I'll delete this. Now we will divide this value, right, 792, to the, random whole number, right? So I'll open the calculator. Now I'm going to enter the page height, right? After this, I am going to divide this with random whole numbers, right? So first I'll try with 45. This is close, but I'll try with more numbers. After this, again, I'll paste, divide with 54, right? 14.66, all right. I'll try with one more number, Control V, divide 55, 14.4. I'll try with one more number, divide 56. Yeah, this is perfect. So I'll copy this and I'll write it down. So it is easy, when it is 56. I'll give it a one more try, right? So I'll clear this. I'll write 792 divided by 57, right? I'll copy this, right? 57, right? First, I'll try with this number. So I'll copy this, right? Select the text box, select the entire text, enter this in leading, right? After this, we will go to the preferences, or we can hit Control K, right? I'll go in the grids, just start from zero, from zero, from here, top of the page, increment every. I'll enter the leading, right? After this, I'll enter 50, right? Hit OK. As you can see that my baseline, right, the top baseline is perfectly aligned. The bottom baseline is perfectly aligned to the bottom of the page, right? It looks perfect. So I'll hit Control 0. After this, I'll select my text, right? I'll scroll down, right? I'll select this, align to baseline grid, right? Now it is our time to set the margins. So before you select the margins, it is best to take the multiple of your leading, right? So when I say multiple of your leading, it means that, imagine our leading is 14.142 something, right? So it should be multiple of this number, right? So I'll show you. So we'll come to the chat GPT. I'll enter this number. Right, give me the table of this, right? Right. So in this case, I'll take this number, right? This looks good to me. You can take whatever number you want, right? After this, notice here, right? Notice this pink line. So I'll go to the layout, margins and columns, right? I will enter this number, right? Look at this. This is beautifully and perfectly aligned to the baseline grid. I'll hit OK. We'll go down. I'll show you. See this? It looks perfect. I'll hit Control 0. Now it's time to adjust our text box, right? Now, in this page, next step is to find the total number of baselines, right? How do we do that? You just have to, find the live area, right? Divided by leading, right? So how do we find this live area? This inside the pink line, right? You just either you can, make a shape like this, right? Right. Or you can select your text box, right? So you come here, I'll write it, right? This is 676, 678.816. I hope it is, perfectly aligned to the, otherwise it will create a problem, right? Ah, this looks, very subtle difference, right? I'll come here, it looks good to me, right? I'll delete this. So our live area is this divided by our leading, which is 14.14. After this, I'll go to open the calculator, right? Clear this. So I'll enter this number. 142, right, is equals to, look at this. We got the total 48 baseline, right? 48 baseline we have. Now, uh, shift B, right? After this, we will come to this website, which I shared with you earlier. In the height value, right, we will enter how much? 48, our baseline, and it is going to be 1. So we have, now two possibilities, 1 and 7, right? 1 and 7. So when I'm creating a baseline grid, I'll create a new layer, right? I'll enter this as grids, right? And before that, I will, create a new layer, move these three, hide this one, select this one, right? Now I will go to layout, ruler guides. First of all, I'll select my, guides color. I'll make it ochre, hit OK. After this, layout, create guides, right? In this one, I'm going to enter my leading value, right? It was 14.142, right? So in the gutter, we have to enter our leading, right? And in the numbers, I'm going to enter 7, right? Look at this. This looks perfect, right? Look at this. Hit, right? This looks perfect to me. If you remember, we have one more number, right? 13.894. I'll demonstrate you with this one as well. I'll copy it, right? After this, I'll disable this grid, right? I'll select the text box and the text. I'll enter this as a leading, right? I will go to the settings, hit Control K, right? Grids. Then I'll enter this value, hit OK, right? After this, now we have to find the right number for the margin, right? So I'll ask chat GPT, right? I'll copy this number, right? I'll go to the layout, margins and columns. I will enter this number, hit OK, right? As you can see that, they are perfectly aligned to the baseline grids. Now I'm adjusting my text box according to the live area, right? I'll hit 0. Now in this case, our live area is 680.806, right? I'm just making double sure, so I'll enter this. I'll, enter my leading, right? So time to divide this number. I'll directly ask ChatGPT, right? It is, as you can see that this is 49, right? So now in this live area, we have 49 number of baselines, right? Now, if you look at this again, the suite number and the possibilities, again, I'll go to that website, right? We will enter 49. Look at this, number of possibilities. So 49 is a suite number, right? So I'll come here, right? Go to layers. Again, I'll create a grid, right? This is for 13, right? This is for 49 baseline, right? Hit OK. After this, right, I'll come to the layout, margins and columns. No, I'm sorry. Create guides, right? If you look at those numbers, 2 will work, 5 will work, 10 will work, 25 will work, and 1 will work. So most probably I'll go with the 5. So I'll select this, I'll enter 5, and my leading was 13 point. So it was 13 point, right? As you can see that this is perfectly aligned, right? Look at this. Look at this, right? Time to wrap things up. As you have seen, leading plays a crucial role in modular grid design. With a 14.142 point leading, you end up with 48 baselines, which gave you only one possible row configuration. But by adjusting leading to 13.894 point, the baseline count increased to 49, giving you many more possible row configurations. Choosing the right leading is not just about readability, it determines how flexible your modular grid can be. Thanks for watching whatever we have discussed, and if you have any doubt, you can comment and I'll try to answer them. Thank you so much.